Plus Sports special on a Saturday. My name is Wale Scott. Welcome on the show. Now, the good thing about most of the stories that we have today is that Mukael happens to be a Chelsea fan. And so he's going to be able to analyze for us and tell us the fears and the strength of the fans at this point. Now, we hear that Romelu Lukaku, could be out of Stamford Bridge this summer, and the Blues could replace him with the Nigerian striker. Former English Premier League champions Chelsea could swoop in for Victor Osimhen to replace Romelu Lukaku if the Belgian attacker leaves this summer. It's been a regrettable season for Lukaku. He has plunged from being the chief cornerstone for Inter Milan in their title triumph to being a peripheral player for an ailing Chelsea. 20-year-old attacker has failed to repay the 113 million euros fee Chelsea paid for him last summer. The Belgian forward has made 40 appearances this season, recording 12 goals and 2 assists. Lukaku is unsettled at the Bridge and could move on this summer. However, Chelsea couldn't be bothered as it does not seem to fit into Thomas Tuchel's setup. Nonetheless, the Blues will be searching for a replacement if the big Belgian leaves. Now, is this good news or bad news? First of all, let's start with the fact that Chelsea spent a whopping 113 million euros on this flop. Because he's a flop.
Otherwise known as 98 million pounds.
Yeah.
The funny thing about today's game is that a striker, a number 9, the main striker for a team, if he fails to deliver in the first season, conversations are being had about him moving on. The player is unsettled because he's not willing to even wait for one more year to try and recapture. And he's not willing to give the management one more season to try and figure out the best way to learn the lessons from the first season and utilize them better in the next season. So if he were to leave, given the state of affairs at Chelsea, given the need to hit the ground running with the new owners, yes, it actually might be the best thing for everyone if Lukaku just leaves.
Now, Chelsea are I apologize if this sounds like an insult, but Chelsea are one of the major culprits of this. Football fans are naturally impatient. They want to win like yesterday. And so Lukaku is not doing what they expect him to.
Last season, Chelsea's form under Thomas Tuchel was scary enough to give a lot of people the belief that the only thing that was left to fit into the jigsaw was an
assassin.
Yes. And he came and we got a couple of months of good football and then nothing.
Let's go back to become Nigerians now. We've been British all the while. Let's go back to become Nigerians. Is Victor Osimhen the answer?
Well, one of the limitations of Lukaku's game is, one, his first touch, his technique, his ability to dribble, and in recent times, maybe because of a lack of confidence, his movement off the ball, his ability to be moving into the right positions when you need him to be. Sometimes I think, especially with Thomas Tuchel's style, Lukaku can't recapture the kind of ability to run onto the ball that he played for Inter Milan under Antonio Conte. Because Chelsea do not play a counter-attacking football. They try to win the ball back, they try to play the ball, they try to retain possession. And that calls for a striker that can face his back to the post, receive the ball, lay it off,
and turn around and
move.
Can Osimhen do that?
Lukaku should have been able to do that.
He used to do that.
But his movement afterwards is so poor, and his first touch oftentimes leaves much to be desired. Victor Osimhen is capable of all of those things that I have mentioned that Chelsea require. The question is whether Chelsea will be able to ensure that they don't make the same mistakes that they did with Lukaku. Yeah. Learning quickly from what the player's strengths are and applying that to how the team plays. Because If the team's main issue is that they need a number 9, then you have to be ready to build the team around that player. Unfortunately, Lukaku didn't seem capable of, and it strikes me as odd because this is the second top 6, top 5, top 4 team that he has failed to deliver for in England.
But he's got the strength, he's got the size, he's got the speed.
He's heavier.
What's going to be the problem?
He's heavier than he used to be when he played for Everton.
True that.
Like I said, his first touch has never been his greatest asset. That leaves much to be desired when you have to play against a team like Leeds United, who are not going to defend deep. There's going to be plenty of spaces, and you need to be able to send the ball to an attacker who can run onto the ball. But if your first touch is so poor and you end up going away from the goal when all you needed was a slight deft touch to keep the ball in your path, run down the keeper, and bury.
And kill the game. We're still talking about Chelsea, and I'm sure Mukail is having a massive good time right now. Now, a consortium led by LA Dodgers, part owner Todd Boehly, and backed by Clear Lake Capital, has won the bid to acquire Premier League side Chelsea in a deal worth up to £4 billion. British Telegraph newspaper reported on Friday, May 6th, the proposal has now been sent to the government and Premier League for approval. With just over 3 weeks remaining on the club's current operating license, which expires on May 31st, Boehly is on course to complete his takeover by the end of this month. The Telegraph, well, we hear that Russian owner Roman Abramovich, now subject to sanctions by the British government, put the London club up for sale in early March following his country's invasion of Ukraine. The Boehly Group, which also includes Swiss billionaire Hans-Jörg Wyss and British property investor Jonathan Goldstein, were in exclusive negotiations to buy the club after a late bid from British billionaire Jim Ratcliffe was rejected. Groups led by Boston Celtics co-owner Stephen Paluca and former British Airways chairman Martina Broughton were earlier eliminated from the bidding process, while a consortium led by Chicago Bulls owners, the Ricketts family, pulled out of the running. I'm going to be strict about this. I'm going to be fair about this. There's something about the British government not wanting British people to take over British clubs. I'll tell you why. You explain for. I'll tell you why I think that.
Well, in this instance, majority of the bidders have been American. They've had British consultants, but most of the Brits who have raised an interest haven't been interested in controlling shares. More like owning a bit part of it, contributing a few millions, and just being on the board. Ratcliffe was the only person who made a significant enough bid that would have allowed him to control the...
That's where I was going to. I was watching a show yesterday, sports show, but I'm not allowed to show the visuals here because we don't have the rights to do that. And a lot of Chelsea fans who came out to speak, like about 7 or 8 of them, consistently said they don't want an American owner. And they were looking at Manchester United and the Glazer family and how everything is going. And they say, why? What is wrong? Ratcliffe is a British billionaire. He's British. He will love Chelsea like Abramovich loved Chelsea because he's British. He bidded for Arsenal? Nah. Manchester United, they give it to the Glazers. And people are saying that, listen, he has enough money. He's British. He's our own. Why don't you want him to have it?
Okay, so here's the thing. First of all, I will preface everything else I'm about to say with the fans, the Chelsea fans who are saying all of that. They'll get over it.
No doubt, of course. They have a choice, do they?
In this day and age, if it had been a Russian, Roman Abramovich, who had been trying to bid for Chelsea, those fans would be up in arms saying that he wouldn't love the team
they love the team
as much as whatever owner was in charge as they love the team. But Roman Abramovich has proven that he loves Chelsea Football Club. Secondly, the fact is most of the bidders were American. Thirdly, Ratcliffe initially denied that he was going to make a bid when the initial bidding process started. Then when the bidders had been whittled down to 3 and had gone into a deliberation mode where the Rain Group, who were in charge of the sales process, were already now considering the final points of the deal. The period for bidding, the deadline had passed, long past. And even the final stages in which, submit additional information to consider in your bid, that had also elapsed before Ratcliffe then came back with this humongous, over-the-top £4.25 billion bid. Now, as for whether Bowie or any other American would love the club as much, and the fact that the American and fears of the Glazer family's actions in Manchester United repeating itself at Chelsea, there are clauses I'm hearing that are in place. First off, the investors, the owners, are not allowed to take out any dividend or any executive fees or sell shares in Chelsea for 10 years. That will be till 2032. Secondly, there is a clause that says they must spend £1 billion, 1.5 billion, maybe even £2 billion on redevelopment of Chelsea's Stamford Bridge Stadium and investment in the women's team, the youth team, and top to bottom investment. So as for whether, in fact, the clause about the owners not being able to take any money out of the club, sell any shares, take any dividend, or pay any executive fees, the clause is called the anti-Glazer clause. So everything has been put in place by the Rain Group, by Abramovich, to ensure that whoever takes over will be responsible.
And take care of the club.
Yes.
Okay, let's go to the EPL fixtures for today. Paul George will help us do that. There are matches today. Basically, there's a top match today, but let's talk about that later. But let's look at Brentford Southampton.
Well, Brentford are scary. To me, they can beat anyone in the entire league
on a good day.
Not even just on a good day, because right now, the way Brentford are playing, Eriksen being in that team has added an instant back-to-front passing dynamic that can allow them to get the ball to the strikers very quickly in counter-attacking situations. And even when they're holding on to possession, his ability to spot a good pass is changing the way Brentford are able to attack against teams. Southampton, well, the last couple of seasons we've seen that Southampton are very good. They're staying in the conversation in the Premier League. They haven't even been in the conversation about relegation this season. They've lost a few matches, but they've still been able to deliver very good blows against some of the big boys. So, truth be told, this will be a very exciting match to watch.
Now, today's early match is not as early as we are used to.
Yes.
It's Burnley against Aston Villa, and it comes up at 3 p.m. or like the normal 12:30 that we're used to.
It's a blockbuster weekend, blockbuster Saturday. Most of the matches are starting at 3 p.m. and we have 2 more matches later in the day.
Manchester United at 5:30 and Liverpool at 7 o'clock.
Yes, 7:45 actually. 7:45. So it will be a lot of good football late into the day. So I'm sure a lot of Premier League football fans will get the pleasure of sitting back, enjoying a few wings, whatever drinks.
A few beers, yeah.
If they want.
Chelsea against Wolverhampton Wanderers at Stamford Bridge.
Yes, I think now that there's a little more clarity on the Chelsea situation, I suspect that there's nothing that's going to hold up the deal at this point. Usually these deals, once they've gotten to this point,
it's done.
Approval is formality. So I think that clarity will open up. In fact, we might hear that Rudiger will reconsider.
True that.
So with that level of clarity, I think Chelsea will get back into
and considering ways. They're already in the UEFA Champions League already.
Yes. So going into the match, I think Wolves have a lot to be worried about. Chelsea seem to be doing better with Kai Havertz up front than Lukaku, so he'll be on the bench again.
Yeah.
Tuchel won't want to get dragged into the top 4 debate. Who's going to finish in it? So with that in mind, I think he's going to play his strongest team. Jorginho is probably not going to play, so that means Kovacic starts, and maybe even Loftus-Cheek.
Now, Brighton and Hove Albion against Manchester United. Man U are away.
I heard someone say recently that because of the way they played in the last game, Manchester United are going to win this game, no doubt.
I don't think so.
I'm inclined to believe that. I'm inclined to believe that now that the team has no way forward to win or to qualify for Champions League football, they can play with a little more relaxation, a little more swagger, and less worry, which we know worry and fear can damage confidence and prevent regular playing patterns from players. And if that's no longer on the table for them, I think a lot of the players, like even Rashford, might come out and play very well today.
Now, before Rashford is not playing today,
Is it?
because he contracted bronchitis.
Oh, poor guy.
So he's not playing. But let's look at, before we go to the match of the day, Arsenal against Leeds United.
Well, Leeds United are struggling in a position where they could get dragged into the bottom 3.
But Arsenal have got their groove back.
I don't think Arsenal have ever had their groove back, because the fact is this is the same club. I don't want to say team, because many faces have come and gone in the Arsenal dressing room in recent years, but the mentality is still a problem. And whether you love him or hate him, Arteta is not a great manager.
True that.
He's a great tactician, but this is the time of the season where you need a manager who's able to rally the team. And whether he can do that at a time when Leeds United have everything to win and so much at stake, and that team has proven capable of putting their pedal to the metal and forcing big teams to take them very seriously. And I think the fact that Arsenal want to play an expansive, open type of football, which plays into the hands of Leeds United, it's going to be an interesting back and forth.
Let's go to the match that everybody's waiting for. 7:45 tonight. Liverpool play Tottenham Hotspur at the Anfield Stadium. Now, some people said that again, Klopp might just rest some key players ahead of the Champions League finals. But I told them no. He's only 1 point behind Manchester City. He needs every match that comes his way now.
In fact, I think the goal difference has even dropped significantly now that I think Liverpool are just 1 goal higher than Man City. So they need every game, every point, every goal. And the fact is they are in Champions League finals. There are still 3 games or so left. The Champions League finals is about 2 weeks, 3 weeks away. Plenty of time to rest players and get them ready for that. Right now, you face the match in front of you. You face the opponents in front of you, and you don't plan for the next level, the next stage.
At this point.
Now,
Ralph Rangnick has said that he will have a chat with the newly appointed Manchester United boss, Erik ten Hag, at the end of the season. The Dutch manager still has 3 games left this season with Ajax as they look to win the league for the 3rd consecutive year. Rangnick said that they will speak about everything once both their respective campaigns come to an end. The United interim manager also confirmed the club captain Harry Maguire has returned to training, but Marcus Rashford will not be available after catching bronchitis. Ralph Rangnick obviously wants Erik ten Hag to hit the ground running. He says they're going to have a serious talk about it. Well, let's talk about that first, and then we'll come to something else that is more humorous. Okay?
So, I suspect, and I'm not sure just how right I might be, that the Manchester United board are trying to do things a little differently this time around, trying to set the agenda early, prepare the back room, prepare the dressing room, ensure the board is ready to handle what is necessary to ensure that Ten Hag succeeds. Now, if everything goes as I suspected it's intended to go, then Ten Hag, even though he doesn't have a significant European pedigree and he hasn't managed a club as big as Manchester United before, I think if they give him everything he wants, everything he needs, he will try to do what Klopp did at Liverpool, build his own identity into the team that's going to challenge Man City and Liverpool.
Now, on the humorous side, little humorous really, the gossip columns in magazines and newspapers in London are saying that Ralph Rangnick hates Jesse Lingard. And the reason why they are saying that is because they said most of the players who are getting a send-off from Manchester United actually had a chance to play in the team. And then Lingard was the only one left on the bench. And Nemanja Matic, Juan Mata, and there's one third person. They all had a chance to Edison Cavani. That he actually made them come on, even if for a brief while, just to say their bye-byes. But he didn't give Lingard a chance.
Even Paul Pogba didn't play that.
Yeah, exactly.
But
we're not sure if Pogba is going, really.
Nah, he's going. He's gone already. My thing about that match, because a lot of people actually criticized, including Roy Keane, criticized the starting of Mata. But for me, Mata showed in that game that not only was
he's still there,
not only is he still as creative, his technique is still very strong, but he should have probably been playing from the beginning of the season. The fact is, they stuck to keep playing Rashford, playing Bernardo Silva,
Bruno
Fernandes. The truth is, if you wanted a creative midfielder that could bring just pure creativity rather than trying to score goals, trying to match Ronaldo up front and being like a shadow striker or second striker, Mata was a good option, and they never seemed to play him. Managers want certain things, and some players, no matter how good they are, just don't fit into that mold. He risked it with Mata in that game, but Mata had the experience, the fitness, the technique, the creativity to be worth that. The only thing left would have been to bench Bruno Fernandes and bring on Jesse Lingard. But then that's a whole another level of risk that we would be asking the manager to take at a time when the team needed to arrest the poor results. So I say the truth is none of us know what it means. Even previous managers, even managers who are out of work, no one knows what it means to be in charge of a club at the present moment.
This particular story touches your hearts. I'm very sure of that. It will. Now, Ukraine will pour their heart and soul into ensuring they win their World Cup playoff matches as soldiers repelling the Russian invasion want the team to do everything they can to qualify. Midfielder Taras Stepanenko said on Friday, Ukraine, who last played against Bosnia and Herzegovina in a 2-0 victory in November, face Scotland in a World Cup playoff semi-final on June 1st, with the winner set to face Wales for a place in the finals in Qatar later this year. Ukraine will play a friendly against Bundesliga side Borussia Mönchengladbach on May 11th in what will be their first match since the February invasion, which Moscow calls a special operation. The team is currently training in Slovenia, and Stepanenko said it has not been easy for them when they read about the situation in Ukraine on the news. I'll come to that later. These guys are facing a war. They are going up against a country that is stronger, has more military strength than they have, but they stay. It's our country, we die here. But they are begging their football nation, the only thing that can make us happy, qualify for the World Cup. Even if the war is still going on, want to watch you guys at the World Cup. This is touching for me.
You know, a lot of times you watch these movies where you see people, even whether it's soldiers, whether it's criminals, whether it's regular everyday people, you see them tuning in, screaming, watching a football match. And in those dark moments, in those quiet times when these Ukrainian soldiers are taking the break, the much needed break from the harrows of the war going on outside, the shelling that the Russian invasion continues to level against them. Those moments where they need to relax, they get to take a break.
Yeah, I've even seen it from a different perspective. The reason why I say it's touching, when I was packaging this story for today, what I had in my head, what I was imagining in my head was a soldier on the bed, his legs out, maybe just one leg, and the other leg is hanging, and he's trying to watch that match. That's what I just see in my head, you know, and that's why it touches me. I'm saying these guys, despite all, want to watch football.
Yes,
but they are at war.
But the truth is, those are, like, from the point of view I was coming from, it's those quiet moments where football, knowing that your nation is still representing itself with dignity,
despite all. So it's an opium. It's an opium for you. It's a high, as in you're happy. You know?
And you know that there are war stories where people, men, women, go off into war, mostly men, go off into war having just after kissing a picture of a loved one at home. For some people, they don't have that picture to kiss, but they have football. They have their fellow countrymen to watch, their fellow countrymen representing the heart and spirit of what that nation is supposed to represent for them. That spirit which they hope will carry them on the wings to go fight.
Maybe even win the war.
And maybe even win it.
Stepanenko spoke. Let's listen. The biggest thing out of Ukraine is a Ukrainian matador, Andrei Shevchenko. And of course, we wish the Ukrainian national team,
all the best,
President Zelensky, and the soldiers a lot of luck.
You know, watching him speak, it took me back to the conversations we've had in the past. Should Russia be banned from playing in the World Cup?
True.
Should they be banned from hosting the Euros? The fact is, ignoring our distaste for politics invading into sports, how could we reasonably sit down, watch that level of emotion on the screen, and say, yes, go fight to represent, to honor your fellow Ukrainians who are under shelling, who are under fire, who are asking you for just one thing? How can we reasonably say that is okay for us to support, but we're going to also allow Russia to be on the same world stage, carrying their flag, representing...
Some countries don't even play against them. Of course not. Now tennis. World number 9 Carlos Alcaraz beats fellow countryman and tennis legend Rafael Nadal to reach the semi-finals of the Madrid Open. The Spanish rising star defeated the 21-time Grand Slam champion for the first time in 3 sets in a topsy-turvy match. After being on the ropes in the first set, Nadal fought back in the second one, when Alcaraz also had to deal with a nasty fall. The 19-year-old, however, prevailed in the third one and will now face another tennis legend, ATP number 1 Novak Djokovic. Mukael, in your opinion, Alcaraz is only 19. Is it a case of youth working for him, as in he's still energetic, or the big boys are taking him for granted because he's 19? Alcaraz has stunned everyone important in the tennis world. I mean, at 19.
I mean, I don't know about that. I don't know about that because the likes of Federer, the likes of Nadal, the likes of Djokovic all stunned some great players.
True that.
When they were 19. And it wasn't down to the fact that these greats thought these players weren't worth their time or were less than. I think Nadal, at his age, with his experience, goes into every match with the intent to beat the opponent, really regardless of their age. And he probably doesn't even check the scorecard for how old, how young, or how inexperienced they might be. Alcaraz has demonstrated recently that he can beat quite a number of important players. Him beating Nadal, it should be par for the course, because the likes of Nadal are getting slower.
True that.
Getting older. More injuries piling
That's
up.
where I'm going to. That maybe because he's 19, he's still energetic, he's still strong, he can move faster.
Yes.
You saw some moves they made. As in, he came back at Nadal like...
And let's not forget, we're experiencing a period in tennis where the greats have done greater things than possibly any other tennis player has ever done. And the youngsters like Alcaraz, who have grown up watching these players, have learned accumulation of...
You don't get... It's the Madrid Open.
Yes.
It's the semi-finals. Alcaraz just beats the king of clay.
I understand that.
This is the king of clay,
and
Nadal.
I'm telling you, Alcaraz is Spanish.
Yes.
Nadal is Spanish.
Yes.
Nadal
they learned to play tennis on clay.
Yes.
At the beginning, yes.
And Nadal might just be the very idol he has watched from the moment he was 5. And I'm saying that level of commitment to a style of play, going up against a player you've probably idolized since very young, on a court that you are very much at home with the advantage of youth on your side, almost a clean slate for injuries, and a slower Nadal than there has ever been. I think it shouldn't be overstated the level of how good Alcaraz is, because he does have a lot of advantages going for him right now. And Nadal isn't winning back-to-back titles anymore.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Thank you, Mikhail. Now, we join us same time next week in Plus Sports Special. Okay, we'll have a better, fuller package for you. This has been fantastic. We hope you had a good time. Join us same time next week if you did. Okay. Debola has got our back today. Surprise, yeah? He's the one behind the cameras today. So you can't see him though, but he makes you see us today. Thank you very much, AJ Ajasa. Thank you very much, Tony. Thank you very much, our producer, Paul George, PG. You can call him President General if you want. Downstairs in the powerhouse, Femi Femo has our back all the time. I'm going to leave you with Matthew Van Der Poel of Alpecin Phoenix. Now, he won the first stage of the Giro d'Italia yesterday. Join us same time tomorrow. My name is Wally Scott. Like I also advise you at the end of every show, if not for anything, at least for your hearts, do some sports.